that was a question. We were supposed to ask questions for this. I had no question.
Wasn't the Bush speech like 30 minutes long? Yeah, she saw the video too. Like,
Should we just read it and take this Yeah, you know I'm dressing up as I actually could.
Okay. Any questions on how we did that yesterday? What I want you to look at is that, like, when the material isn't tough, right? Like, the speech itself isn't tough, but what's tough is like finding the things and like figuring out not just what they mean, but how like the appeals are creating that. So I want you to equate that to any article, like procedure book, anything. If you're going to college, like whatever that you read in college, even if you're going to trade school, you'll have like, you know, the explanation of like how you do all the things you do. If it's difficult, then you have to just go back and do little by little to figure it out. Once you start figuring out how it's written, then it gets easier to figure out what it means, right? Okay, so let's start with paragraph 2. And if I go off the page, just let me know. Okay, so as I'm reading, remember yesterday we went back and kind of marked like what evidence stands out to us? As I'm reading, kind of note the same thing. If there's something that stands out, if it's sing-songy or whatever you think, underline it and we'll talk about it when we get done. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. With the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. So real quick, talk to your partner. What evidence kind of stood out to you that you underlined that we'll talk about? Do you want this one? Do you want to type on this, or are you okay writing? So I think it's in Canvas, and you can make a copy of it.
honestly, I was just seeing Google Docs if it wasn't.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. What were some things that you found in there that you like?
Like in the sentence, today our nation saw evil, and so on. He
Yep.
was defining what evil meant.
Yep.
I feel like people know what they mean. He was like emphasizing it more.
So the dashes. Yep. So I agree. So this, a lot of times you'll see a dash. And this one, we always look at, there could be two types of dashes. There could be one dash, and there could be something on either side, or there can be two dashes where it's offset, and so something in the middle is different than what's on the other side. So you're exactly right. Like this defines what evil was. And this is the second time that he said evil, right? The evil, despicable acts of terror. Okay, I like that. What else? Okay, the contrast of what?
The worst of human and then the best of America.
Yep, so that's a contrast. We see contrast a lot of times in here. What did we say yesterday? The word but like creates a contrast, right? So look at above, right? Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but so there's a contrast. So, and it follows this repeated pattern of like the bad stuff, like the negative on one side, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. That's the positive, right? These acts shatter steel, but, so this is the negative side. They cannot dent the steel of American resolve. Okay? All right. Anything else that y'all wanted to point out? What are those called? Metaphors. I don't care if you call them a metaphor. I mean, they will in Lit when you do like poetry and stuff like that. But I don't care if you call it a metaphor, because we see the but. It's just a contrast. That's all it is, right? It's just contrast. Okay. So identify the metaphors comparing the America's foundations to buildings. All right, so when we look at a metaphor, we want to look at the pieces and parts. So anytime we have a metaphor, we want to look at pieces and parts. And with those pieces and parts, we want to look out of context. And then back in context. Context. Okay, so I like the idea of looking at a metaphor because it gives us all the pieces and parts to analyze. And so when I'm looking at that America's foundation, terrorist attacks can shake. That I like. The foundations of buildings, those are all things that I want to look at. So when I talk outside of context, what does the idea of like shake mean? Startle, okay. 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 What is, because, you know, like a metaphor is looking at like things that are unlike and comparing them to, or contrasting them to like reality, right? Or something that is real. So shake, what is a foundation? The purpose of a foundation of a house or a building, what is its purpose? To support, to create security. Okay, so when we look at the biggest buildings, right, a building is something physical. Sorry, this is getting small. Okay, a building is something physical. So, did they shake the foundations of our biggest buildings? Yeah, they did, right? I mean, and even after everything fell, the foundations were still there, right? Okay. So then let's look at the other side. But, so now we go to the contrast. So they can do this, but they cannot do this. So now let's look at what is the foundation. Well, first of all, let's look at touch. So if touch is to startle or to make, what did I write? To make a mess. Like my handwriting. To make a mess. So what is the difference between touching something and shaking something?
More gentle.
Okay, so the shake is aggressive and the touch is more gentle. I like that. Okay. Then we get into the foundation of America. So what is America founded on? Like, what are our main principles? Do what? Yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that's what I mean when I talk about like pieces and parts. Like, first of all, we have to look at like the pieces and parts out of context, right? To understand what they mean in context. So what is the difference between like a foundation of a building and a foundation of America?
One's physical.
One's physical and the other one is metaphorical. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. So we have the physical verse. I don't necessarily, I mean, it is a metaphor going in, or it could be like a metaphor going into that, but like, It is getting into the emotion. Yeah. I mean, it's more, I had the word in my head. It's more abstract. And it is like emotional. Yeah. Because emotions, just like the list we had above, are like abstract nouns, right? So this is the same. So ultimately, what is he saying?
Like you can't break America apart.
Yeah, like we can break our building, but we can't break our spirit.
Yep. Yep. So you can physically destroy us, right? But you can't emotionally break our spirit. Yep. And then if we just look at the next one, we won't break it down. But again, you look at these acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. So if I look at the two difference, I would say, what is the difference between shattering and denting?
Breaks it all.
It makes a dent. So shattering destroys everything, right? It cannot be pieced back together.
One's permanent.
One's permanent and one's not. Yeah, denting you can fix, right? Okay. And then what these acts shatter steel. So literally steel, right? What is steel?
Metal, super strong.
Yeah, I mean it's like what we build buildings out of, right? Because it is supposed to be indestructible, right? Except for planes flying into them. So then what is the steel of American resolve?
Everyone's like the American spirit.
Our spirit, yep. The American resolve is like how we're going to continue. So again, it's the physical versus the emotional. The beacon of light is the same thing, right? A real beacon guides like boats and stuff in. A beacon, we are a beacon because we like have our moral values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That, my friends, is analysis. If I told you analyze the metaphor, that's what we put in there. So how do inclusive pronouns and collective praise create unity between the speaker and the audience? So let's look at what is that. If we're looking at an appeal, did we talk about inclusive pronouns? Well, I said collective, but inclusive is the same, right? So inclusive, collective. Yep, the us, our biggest buildings. And they is a pronoun, but it's like somebody else, right? We are, that's inclusive. Our nation, that's inclusive. We responded. Okay. So, and the collective praise, that's at the very end. That's the last sentence, right? Well, I mean, I guess everything the collective praise is like the second half of each metaphor, right? It's the negative versus the good. Okay, so how do those things, this collective pronouns and inclusive pronouns and the praise, how does it create this sense of connection between the president and our people? Talk with your partner real quick and then we'll share.
Bro, you gonna look at a partner song? You see it? I think it's fake. Can't believe it.
All right. How does it create unity? So we always talk about like when you have, we're kind of doing a little bit of argument because when you talk about a speaker in an audience, you have to understand what their beliefs are, right? In order to make a connection. So that's like when we talked a little bit, we didn't talk much about it when we did like obstacles and leverage. Like a speaker has to know what their audience understands and believes in order to make a clear connection to them or to get them to understand their purpose. Like if I said, you need to ask your parents if you can go to Fort Worth on a Wednesday night and not get back to like 2 a.m. if y'all look at me and go, my parents would already do that, I'm questioning y'all. But you need to do that. Do you know your parents? Do you can you predict like what they value, what they expect of you? Can you already know that? So when you know that, then you can argue things or present your argument in a way that they will understand your position, right? And listen in order to gain your purpose of going to Fort Worth on a Wednesday night and get back too. So how does that connection between the speaker, Bush, and the audience, which is really Americans, right? Who did we write down? We got scared, angry, something else. Scared Americans, angry Americans, grieving Americans, and then also our allies. How does this create a sense of unity?
Addressing everyone as a whole, like it's one thing.
Okay, so it addresses like Americans, really, and well, I think this first part, do we think it ties to the allies right now? No. So I think it addresses Americans as a whole. Yep. Yeah, it unifies them in like this. I mean, during the tragedy. So if we are looking at, would we identify this as what appeal? If we're trying to make the connection between the speaker and the audience, is it emotional? Is it ethical? Meaning like they're trying to, like ethics usually has to do with the speaker and themselves, or is it logos where it's very logical, like here are the facts, here's the data, here's the numbers? Okay, so which one can we for sure mark out? Logos, I agree. Okay, so are they connected through emotion?
Yeah.
I could say that. So look, the negative emotions, so they can be connected through their grief. Okay, so let's do one example of pathos and grief. I may be going on to the questions in the back, but okay. I think emotion is the easy one to go to. If we are connecting the speaker to the audience, I think we'd also look at ethos, like the ethical appeal. So look at your ethical appeal. Does he really need credibility in this instance? No. Is he appealing to like something in their character? Well, but he's not appealing to the terrorist's character like, hey, I like what you did. We share those beliefs.
He's appealing to America's pride or resolve.
Yep. So look under character-based. I wouldn't really say it's presentation. What under character-based appeal in ethos would you say? Shared values, yeah. And I just go through a checklist. Trustworthiness, that kind of goes back to like his credentials. Fairness, we're not looking for a balanced viewpoint at this point, right? Respect for audience, I mean, he's showing that, but really looking at like how they connect is through their shared values. So I would say ethos, and then I would say like shared values. Okay, love it. All right, look at the contrast between the worst of human nature and the best of America, right? So that is, we pointed that out, right? Our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America. So there's the contrast. How does that contrast affect the Americans' emotion? I would also say at this point we can go to our allies too, right? So turn to your partner real quick. How does it affect emotion, that contrast? What I would say is look at the order of the contrast. Does it go positive to negative, or does it go negative to positive? I think that can affect emotion.
Kind of connected by
That's how negative
I guess. That's it affects the use.
See something that's like
Cancels out values, but highlights the
humans are they don't see a country doing that.
Okay. So do you see like a contrast doesn't always have to be like negative to positive. It can be positive to negative in this instance, right? So why is that contrast more emotionally valuable by starting with the negative and then moving to the positive?
It shows that we're like fine through it.
Okay, so by starting the negative, so what does the negative show then?
Kind of like what they expected us to do. Like,
Okay, so the negative on that side, right? Well, you're right. I think that is more in the part of,
Like how bad it was.
yeah. Save the what they should think that we will do, because I think that'll be in the next paragraph. Yeah, so what'd you say? It's the negative what?
How bad it was.
Yeah. And Gavin, I heard you talking a little bit about the worst of human nature. What were you saying? Like, how does that show like the worst of human nature? Like, why are they labeled as the worst of human nature?
Because it's just like they did a bad thing that not a lot of people have done.
Okay. And what is the nature of like people in general?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a very philosophical question. So what does it mean like somebody's nature?
how they already are.
Their character, how they are, right? So he's not necessarily attacking like, I mean he is, but like he's not saying these people are bad. All of them are bad. It's what they did, right? So it's more their actions that they decided to do. And so, I mean, and it was purposeful. And then we said we moved to the positive, which, what do we say that it suggests like how we,
How they responded.
so the worst of human nature is like the action.
How we're working.
And the best of America is like our nature, right? So that's our like positive nature. So I mean, if we're looking at an appeal and we're looking at emotion, is he showing a positive, negative, or complex emotion? It could be complex. With the contrast, is he showing complex, negative, positive, or complex?
Negative, positive.
I think it's more positive, okay? So then look at our positive list. Is there anything under there that we could say represents that contrast emotionally? I kind of just go through like a checklist.
I'd say like pride a little bit.
Okay, satisfaction in one's own group or accomplishments, yes. I don't know if we've accomplished it yet, right? Okay, what else?
Maybe inspiration.
Okay, where's that?
The very bottom.
Oh, inspiration, motivation to act or achieve. Okay, I can see motivation a little bit. What in there would be the best positive emotion for the best of America?
Like in the passage is what you said.
Well, I mean, like we're looking at that contrast still, right? Like it's the worst of human nature.
What's that? Optimism or compassion?
Yeah, optimism would work. I would say compassion might work. Courage, yeah. And when we tie it to this, And optimism because we have like a more positive outlook. Do I even have that on there? Good job, y'all. Okay. And optimism or compassion, I think, would both work. Okay, what does the list of heroic actions have? I'm just going to mark out this part. What value does the list of heroic actions have? When we talk about a list, didn't we talk about a list on the back side? Okay, so change that question to what value does the list of heroic actions have, right? And that's that spot where it's like, I want to flip it over. It's the spot that is with the daring of our rescue workers, caring for strangers and neighbors, giving blood, and helping in any way. Those are the heroic actions. So what does that list show? So if we look at a list as a whole,
I think like responsibility.
Shows everyday people trying to do stuff.
okay, so it shows, so the list shows, oh yeah, sorry. Shows everyday people really kind of doing ordinary actions, right? Harlow, what else did you say?
Like responsibility.
It shows a sense of responsibility? Yeah.
What about like respect?
That would be fine with me. So, and what we think of a list is like multiple things, right? Like I have to go to the grocery store and get this, this, and this. So as I continue saying, this was the heroic act, this was the heroic act, this was the heroic act, it shows that we didn't just do it once in one instance, right? We continued to see it. So, Harlow, what'd you say again?
Responsibility.
Yeah, sorry, that brain. Okay, I like it. And it shows like multiple actions through the day. Okay. Let's start one more. We probably won't be able to finish today, but let's start one more. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. All right, so in the very first, Bush uses first-person verbs, right? First-person verbs. Oh, yeah. Well, first person and like the action verb, right? Like, I did this, I did this. What? So didn't we put for Bush, like, he's like in his first term, like 9 months in, right? So how does him taking ownership of the decisions that he made that day earn him some credibility with the American people?
He's taking up the
He's like
responsibility.
showing that he cares for us.
Okay, he does care for us. What else did you say?
So he's taking the responsibility.
Okay,
Trustworthy.
so it shows that he cares about us. It shows his responsibility. I like it. So do y'all see where I'm talking about? Like, I implemented our emergency teams are working. Our military is prepared. Federal agencies in Washington, federal agencies are open for business. Financial institutions are strong. So go to credibility, which is what? Appeal. Ethos. So which one of those, if we look at credibility, there's those top four. Which credibility appeal would you say it is? Authority, yep. I think that is it. So we would do ethos to credibility section to authority. Showing his knowledge, his expertise, or his position of power. I just created this last month and I'm kind of liking it. I haven't used it yet. Okay. What reasoning connects the quick governmental action to national security? So if we look at reasoning, that's going to be logical, right? So that's that section of the reasoning under logos. So the quick government action, right, is all the things that, the list of things that he did. How does that connect to national security? So look under our reasoning list. Is that only on the front, right? Yeah. So only on the front. I guess it could go to the logical patterns of organization on the back. So it can either go to reasoning and structure or patterns of organization. So what do you see? Okay, problem solution. So we're looking at logos and we're looking at problem solution. Chasten, what else did you say? I could say cause and effect too. What I want you to see is that there may not be one right answer. You would pick the one that is the easiest for you to explain. Is there another one in there? If then statements, yeah, kind of implied this happened, then this happened. I would say if then could work too, yep. How does the list of agencies and priorities show structure and control? So if we're looking at government agencies, right, which ones do we talk about? We talked about military, emergency teams, the what? Federal agencies, oh wait, no. Essential personnel, financial institutions, yeah, sorry, I was getting there. And the American economy, okay. How does the list of agencies and priorities? So priorities is again in that list. So you're looking at like what value is the order of the list of agencies? Why is it in that order? So Bush says, here's what I did today. Like immediately when this happened, this is what I started to do. What is the very first governmental agency that's listed? Military. Why is military first? Well, yeah, but think about the rhetorical situation that just happened. Why is the very first thing he says? Yeah, I mean, they're creating our safety, right? They defend and create safety. Also, outside the American people, who else needs to realize what our first priority was? The terrorists. Yeah, the people who attacked us, right? It's a veiled threat. Our military is ready and it's powerful. Okay? Then what came next? So the military and then emergency teams. Why emergency teams?
So that people know that they're going to be safe.
Yep. It's like the follow through, right? For safety. And then I would say the third thing we would look at is our financial institutions. Why is that? I mean, not necessarily that it's last, but why is that last? Is it the least important?
No, it's just one priority at the time.
And why would it be a priority? Like, these things are crashed, right? Like the one of the buildings, I think it was the first building, had a majority of the major financial institutions housed in it, right? Lenders, banking, all the things were in there. So what happens if our financial institutions are gone and not working? What happens to the country? It collapses. People can't buy food even if it's available. They can't buy things, right? So I think it shows progress that we can continue. All right, what emotions is Bush calming? I think some of this can go to, so that would be pathos, right? I think some of that can go to how we described some of the Americans. So how is the idea of strong and we're open for business, we're working, what emotions is that calming?
Anxiety, like fear.
Relief.
Okay, are these on our list? Yeah, so anxiety can be relief, yes, but we're saying it's calming something, so that leads to the relief. What else did we say? Despair. Yep. That would work. Yeah, angry. And I think if we look at that list, I think indignation is even better, right? Indignation is anger, and it's a moral outrage, meaning we're angry, but we're also angry that fundamentally you're hurting us, right? So indignation is a great word. Okay. Was this hard? Okay. So what I want you to see, y'all, I don't know if you realize it, and I know I keep saying it over and over again, but you are doing work that other people say you cannot do. You just have to be asked the right questions, right? So pretty impressive. Okay. Y'all can put up. We may do one more day of this, and that might be good enough for us. So I might pick another paragraph to look at. Good job, y'all. I talked about y'all all afternoon yesterday.